Welcome to the Embodiment Conference 2020, also on behalf of the whole team behind the scenes. Thank you for your attention to another amazing presentation about intimacy and relationship. My name is Ilan Stefani and it's my pleasure to be sponsoring this channel, as I deeply believe that aliveness, embodiment, intimacy, relationship are key to individual and global change. My ongoing somatic research is focused on more and more aliveness for each and every one of us. I tune into the fields of collective trauma, of intimacy, of love and rage, shadow work, and a higher and higher level of energy. If you are curious about my work, you might want to catch my presentation on this channel as well as on the main stage. And you can also head over to my website ilanstefani.com. My methods have been described as an embodiment training for warriors. However, you are so welcome to find out yourself. I teach online and in person. I teach in German as well as in English. Thank you for your attention and please enjoy the following presentation.
Now, it's all about transcending language for a more connected world. And this will be a session run by Igor Kreyman, and I'm really happy to be with you here today to introduce you a little bit and ask you a few questions, because this is what we're doing today. Just to intro you a little bit, you're Australian-based, not born though, founder of the Human Connection Movement, which you're also going to share a little bit about today, actor by training. And your vision really was to sort of counter the perceived loneliness, social isolation, and mental health challenges we face today. And you guide organizations, schools, and entrepreneurs through mindfulness practices to calm the nervous system. So I'm very excited to hear what you have to share today, especially about the movement you have created or founded. And maybe you can start by sharing a little bit about what motivated you to start this movement to begin with, and a little bit about your own journey.
Well, I just want to quickly say that I want to preface everything I'm about to say by saying that life is a journey of coming home to yourself. That at the end of the day, all we're doing every single day is walking each other home. And it's the process. The initiation is the actual process. It's not the destination. We're so often wanting to achieve some form of outcome. You know, I hope I do a great job conveying the message in this online sort of medium, but that's not the point. The point is being in this process and being able to allow whatever it is that moves through us to initiate itself through us, so that we can just be here now. So I just wanted to say that. And what motivated me to connect people and with the Human Connection Movement is my own sort of disconnection to myself. I felt very emotionally blocked as an actor. My dad threw me in to be an actor as a child because I was really shy. And I found it very difficult to be able to tap into my internal reservoir, to my feeling, and to naturally express what was more, authentic to me. And in that inability to express myself, I felt trapped. I felt like I was imprisoned within my own mind, because I can be quite heady as opposed to in my heart space, naturally, as an Aquarian, being very ethereal and imagining possibilities, but struggling with grounding them in the past. So through that sort of process of realization that I had experienced, that I had so many blocks emotionally and physically, I had experienced eye gazing, which was essentially sitting opposite someone for an extended period of time in a performance art exhibition, which was in Sydney at the Caldor Public Arts Project, facilitated by Marina Abramovich. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I basically sat in an empty chair with a human in front of me that I had no idea who they were. It was a warehouse with 100 people, completely silent. We were wearing all noise cancelling earphones. You couldn't hear anything. And I was like, what is going on here? I'm sitting opposite a complete stranger. I don't know who they are, and I'm just looking into their eyes. And that was what changed my whole life, to be honest with you, because I had to observe what was going on within me, because I quickly realized that the person and the human I was looking at was reflecting back at me what I was experiencing internally, but I was also feeling what she was feeling. So it was this simultaneous process that was like moving through this spiral of like awareness of this of these sensations that were emerging. And I had realized that the mask I had created to try to sustain myself in this world, to try to connect to a tribal group, to a community, to feel safe, was an illusion. And it was discordant, and it wasn't in alignment with who I was in my truth, in my highest aspect of who I was. So therefore, the human connection movement was birthed. Yeah, I hope that answers your
Wonderful.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Can you share a little bit more about the actual movement, and how can I imagine like one of your events, or what do you actually do?
Yeah, okay. So what actually happened was I created an event on Facebook in 2016, 5 years ago, and it just said eye gazing Sydney. And the event went viral, and hundreds of thousands of people saw it. And we had about 100 people that turned up in the park, and we had some very simple instructions like let go of any expectations, be present, allow whatever that comes up to move through you, and observe everything objectively. Don't blame and don't project, because we're so often so easily kind of, oh, I don't like that feeling. That's coming from you, you know? And the process is about observing everything that arises objectively, and understanding that from even a Buddhist philosophy, everything is constantly changing. So just be that aware, that awareness. And that just blew up, long story short. We had events that we had volunteers that started kind of reaching out to us from all across Australia and the rest of the world. And we started spreading these up. I started traveling to Melbourne and different cities. And we had hundreds of people showing up in parks, looking into each other's eyes, bypassing the written word language, moving beyond the constraints of the way in which we perceive each other through language, and being able to sit in a unified place of awareness and intelligence that we all are connected to, an intelligence that we all carry, a frequency. And it just spread across 20 countries, and we ended up reaching 1 million people. We had over 400 facilitators. And these were just free public events from a philanthropic sort of point of view that we ran for about, we're still running. We stopped because of COVID, obviously, but we could have run them with social distancing, but the flow, and whatever happens there is happening. But essentially, my acting background, I have a performance background, so I kind of I'm interested in how to explore creativity through human connection in the body, and to explore truth and authenticity. And we developed a workshop which was more of an intimate space, not in a public park, for people that wanted to really come home to themselves, to really step into a place of embodiment. And this is what this festival is all about: coming home to your body. So even referencing the tagline of the festival is so in alignment, because in our workshops, everyone was coming home to themselves. And eye gazing was the mechanism in which everything threaded through all the various exercises. So I have a background as a dancer and as an actor. So we incorporated eye contact into movement and into dance. And we experimented with it. It was almost like a performance art troupe or exhibition. And I was kind of feeling into it like a director, but also tuning in as a conductor of a symphony. And I was like, oh, everyone's playing a different frequency, and this music is playing from their heart. And their heart is the cohesion and the love that's emanating. So we'd sit in, very extended periods of time, maybe 3 hours of deep intimacy and cohesion and love, which was completely silent. And it's through that silence that we were able to be fully seen, to be fully heard, to be fully understood. we were able to move beyond the preconceptions and ideas of who we thought we were, to fully step into the ineffable that can't be described, that can't be articulated through the written language, and it can only be expressed through presence. So that was the kind of journey and around our workshops so far.
So I guess that this is the element that you also, why this title, Transcending the Verbal. Yeah, beautiful. You mentioned you have a background as a dancer, and I remember when we talked, you mentioning that you do some other warm-up exercises and you bring in a bunch of kind of movement and other elements, not only the eye-gazing part. Can you share a little more about that too?
Yes. Well, I just referenced it a little bit then in relation to movement and dance. But we're playing, there's an exercise I'd like to do with everyone at the end. Everyone, I guess I can see, but even the people I can't see, where we're able to feel each other, our awareness, even remotely, because from a quantum perspective, energy is non-local. And, you know, this whole chat group has a certain frequency based on how much you align with what I'm saying. And then the amplification of all of our intent coming together and becoming its own ecosystem, its own volume of energy. But yeah, it's hard to kind of describe what those exercises are in particular, but I can demonstrate one of them at the end of this stream. But yeah, we do go through movement and dance, and the whole point is to be able to really express yourself and come into alignment with your body and maintain that sense of truth and trust of whatever it is that's emerging through you is perfectly beautiful as it is, and there's nothing you need to change.
Thank you. So we'll be a little patient for you to share the exercise with us at the end.
Yes.
I know you also touched on that already, but I'd love to hear a little more about how this actually impacts the people that come to your events.
Well, I can tell you how it impacted me, and then I can tell you how it impacted other people, because of the effect it had on me. That was the only reason I had the energy to do this, because you can imagine, like, you know, who in their right mind is motivated by organizing groups where people sit in silence looking into each other's eyes, unless there's something that's really dominantly like leading them. And people say, how did you start the human connection movement? And I say, I did not start the human connection movement. The human connection movement started me, because nothing of this belongs to me. I am just a vessel for this divine intelligence to move through me and to express itself. And I think that's a lot healthier and sustainable to see it that way. Could you please repeat your question though? Because I've now gotten into a flow state and I've forgotten it.
It was directed at how it affects the people who actually attend your events. We can flow.
Okay. Well, it dissolves barriers between people. So let's say you're naturally nervous or anxious, or you feel misunderstood, like I did, and you feel lonely, and you feel like you're in a family sometimes that doesn't completely understand you, and that's your own initiation process. You know, like people that don't understand you are kind of empowering you, whether you realize it or not, to be able to better understand yourself. Because once you understand yourself, people will just fall into alignment with that. So and I had to realize that the hard way, because I was always pointing my fingers at my parents going, you guys don't make any sense. How am I born into this family? What language are you speaking? So that it was that contrast that actually led to the impact that emerged. So I thank them so much for not making any sense to me, right? And now making no sense makes so much sense, because it was my initiation process. But it dissolves barriers between people very quickly. It gets them very comfortable within their body. It moves them from a sympathetic state to a parasympathetic state. So in terms of the central nervous system, they become very relaxed. They become more confident. They let go of any expectations of how they think their life should be. and they allow for this, for who they truly are to emerge and come through, and they're staying in more flow as opposed to forcing. I think that's a huge thing, is being able to tap into this unified field of awareness, this intelligence that's available to us, is through slowing down and being silent. And the impact of that is it's not just incremental, but it's continuous. It's a complete non-linear transformation when you realize life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. So the more time people spent holding eye contact through movement, through dance, through silence, through sitting down, they were able to completely let go of how they thought their life should be and who they thought they were, to allow for the higher emergence of their spirit to fully merge into their physical body. I'm just going to let that drop, because when you allow your spirit to fully emerge and integrate into your physical body, there's no confusion around what you're supposed to do or how it's supposed to be done, or what's happening. There's a real-time connection to truth, to love. And there's less expectations around how things manifest, they just do. And recently, I've been working with the word trust and noticing all of the uncertainty and some of the chaos that's going on, but being able to sit in a place of trust, even in that space, even if it feels uncomfortable. I just had a meditation before where I felt, just a lot of shadow, very uncomfortable, working through some things. And I was able, in that space and time, I think for the very first time, to really accept and see the beauty, the perfection in the imperfection. And when I was able to feel that, it began to dissolve. So I think what eye gazing does is it allows us to see the perfection in the imperfection and realize that we're all interconnected, that we're all one, and that we're all walking each other home.
Wow. Two things stood out for me here. It's that element of you can sit with yourself and do that in a meditation, but it's so powerful to do that with another. And in these exercises, it seems like that's what you're bringing out. And the second thing was dropping more into becoming human beings rather than human doings. You talked a bit about the slowing down.
Yeah. Well, the electromagnetic field of each person when you're connecting begins to merge and coalesce and come together. You can check out the Heart Math Institute. This isn't just me talking random information. There's a whole scientific sort of validated methodology that we based our method on, which we work with people on in corporations, with children in schools and everything. So when two people, I know maybe we'll go through this later, but when two people connect and are sitting in this place of like prolonged eye contact, their heart rates, the heart rate variability synchronizes. It comes into one frequency. And then when that happens, everything, you go from like a beta state in your mind, you go into an alpha state, sometimes you go into theta. So you're sitting in this really deeply restorative, relaxed place. And the electromagnetic fields of your body is emerging and coming together. So the intelligence of your spirit and the intelligence of the spirit of the person that you're connecting with come together. So all of a sudden, your intuitive awareness expands dramatically. This is an experiential, visceral experience. This is not me making it up. This is something you can experience right after this call with someone if I give you very basic instructions. And their spirit and your spirit, wherever it comes from, because I don't know, right? It's somewhere from the ether, starts to provide messages to you. And it's so beautiful to feel those messages, to be able to realize that the answers have been looking at us all along. Yet we've been conditioned in our society to ignore strangers, to not hold eye contact because they're scary. Because in the movies, people are being kidnapped. Yes, there's a shadow side to our society. All these timelines are playing out concurrently. But what do we choose? What is our choice? Do we align with fear, or do we align with love? We are sovereign within our awareness and our beingness. So that's kind of that was answering the first part of your question. What was the second part of your statement, rather?
It was more of a comment on the
Okay.
the us as human beings rather than human doings. I don't know if there
Yeah,
was anything you'd like to add to that. Yeah.
yeah, I would love to, because we put so much pressure on ourselves. Everyone that's listening here, I'm sure that we're all very hard on ourselves. Maybe we want to achieve, we want to create, we want to be remembered, we want to be known for something. There's this kind of like perpetuation within our society that in order to be valued, you need to be remembered. And I think that's a trap, because there's this consistency around projecting our value outside of ourselves by expecting that our happiness comes from outside of ourselves. And it keeps you on the rat race. It keeps you in the rat race psychologically and mentally and emotionally. And when we say, what is the difference between human doing and human being? Well, being a human being is being present and being here now, and being able to appreciate what's happening now, and understanding this is it, and that you're perfect as you are, and that there's nothing you need to change about yourself. But we've been so conditioned to feel like that we have a problem. There's something wrong. There's something we need to change. Who's going to help me fix this? Which program am I going to study? Which personal development course? What if the personal development course was shutting the F up and placing your hand on your heart and saying, I'm sorry, and forgiving yourself for having to feel like you weren't worthy already? Because we're all so worthy already. We are love now. Don't wait to fall in love. You are the love that you're looking for. Feel it inside of you. There's this common kind of spiritual statement around twin flames, and how you meet your twin flame from a romantic standpoint, and that they're two separate spirits coming into one. That sounds great from a Disney perspective, but I'll tell you what I feel is personally more sovereign. You are your own twin flame. And when you come home to yourself, that person that's supposed to be with you, they're just going to freaking fling to you like a magnet. Because once you're home to yourself, there's no destiny is that's what destiny is. When you come home to yourself, everything else will magnetize to you. When you're living in your truth, forget about everything else. That's all that matters.
Thank you. Wow. It's almost hard to come back to like the questions I want to ask you when you share from this place. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear, especially talking about the doing and the chasing after things. And you mentioned up front a little bit about your background as an actor being really relevant to discovering, or to maybe feeling that divide in yourself and then rediscovering yourself anew through this practice. Is there also something that inspires you from your acting background that you brought maybe into the practice?
Yeah, so there was an image I got straight away from that, was a film I worked on called One Less God, which is a psychological thriller, and it's quite a difficult film to be in, but from the story, because it's got terrorism involved, but it's based on a true story, and an event inspired by true events that happened in Mumbai. But what I loved about that film, and what I loved about acting, and now I got a really nice way of connecting this, is that I was experiencing that unification, that interconnectedness and collaboration of a set on a film before I started to eye gaze. And I was like, oh my God, this feeling, this visceral feeling of the art department, the actors, the directors, the producers, the food runners, all these people working together, integrated synergistically within this one whole, all feeding and receiving this one beautiful womb of love, working together to fulfill the mission of this director. And our part had been such a critical sort of part of the human connection movement, initiation and growth and impact. Because I was not able to experience that ever again after the film was over. And I was like, I've been chasing this feeling my whole life and I've only had bits of it. And it's very difficult to be an actor because it's a very political place and blah, 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 blah. You know, I had my own kind of like victim sort of mindset around that at the time. And then eye gazing gave me the same feeling around that I had on set. Just by looking into someone's eyes, I felt like I was able to explore these dormant parts of my psyche, right? From a creative standpoint, because I'm naturally a very creative person. I somehow end up in very analytical, strategic parts, helping other people, using parts of my brain that I am not good at. I don't know why it happens, but I'm also a very creative person. And I am in my complete element when I am just channeling and allowing and creating, and in a group dynamic, whether it's online, I realize now, and face-to-face, which is my preferred thing, being with a group of people and bringing in this nonverbal communication element, this cohesion and this love, and being able to express that through movement and through dance and through contact improv, which we've kind of discussed a little bit, integrating that and wanting to explore that further. So acting has been such a huge sort of like initiator for me. In a sense, my spirit was like probably kind of stringing me along like a cat. Yeah, do the acting thing, do it, get it out there, do it. And then it's like the eye gazing thing came and I'm like, oh, okay. All right, this kind of makes more sense.
Thank you. So there was an up to that. It pushed you out into this entire field of connection. I also want to share, because there have been some lovely comments in the chat while you were speaking.
Sure,
people really were appreciating how you embody your words and how they are coming from a very authentic place. Even saying that Dharmata Tara Wong says that they went to 3 other talks of people much older and that have been in this field for like decades, but that they feel you're like so potent in your presence, even being so young. So I wanted to share that because the timeless nature.
Thank you. Life is short, you know. I had a friend that passed away a couple of weeks ago. I don't want anyone to get sad about that. Life and death, you know, they're one and the same. And I just don't have time for disingenuity. I don't know if that's a word, but being disingenuous and not being in alignment, because suffering is so prevalent in our society. And you know, like it has this beautiful intelligence within it that allows you to be as honest as you possibly can. And that honesty just moves through you and guides you. And I think it, you know, it works with you as opposed to against you. So thank you for that. And I fully receive that.
I have another question that links to that as well, which is about communication. I mean, now talking about authenticity and fully embodying what you say. What can you say about how you solve problems of ineffective communication?
Well, great question, Christina. And take a breath to answer that. This has been one of my coming of age sort of problems. Is I come from a Russian family. Maybe people can kind of connect with this. So I immigrated to Sydney when I was about 4. We were in Italy for 3.5 months, 6 months before we immigrated to Sydney. And I grew up in the former Soviet Union in a town called Odessa in the Ukraine, which is now the Ukraine because the Soviet Union collapsed a year later. But the reason why I'm telling you this is that every culture, every society, every country, every lineage has a different way in which they communicate and perceive the world, right? Jewish people, Muslim people, religions, there's this different filter, okay, that we perceive the world based on a few things: our beliefs, our values, and our ideologies, right? So no one is ever right or wrong. No one. It's just that what we've chosen to believe and align with is essentially presenting us with a projector of what we've attached our reality to and our identity to. And a lot of the miscommunication comes from people walking into a museum, seeing a painting that's black and going, that's white. And the other person's like, that's red and that's green. Well, it's because you have a different perceptual view of the world based on the beliefs and values and ideas that you've kind of formed based on the social norms and the societal conditioning and the media and what's been passed down intergenerationally within your family, within those customs. That's all fine. That's all perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. There needs to be compassion to the fact that we see things differently. Because we keep saying, oh, you're wrong, I'm right. We're just exacerbating that problem. We're creating more friction. We're creating more resistance. No one is wrong or right. There's the truth, and there's the truth and how it feels like. What's the resonance of that frequency? That's all there is. So what eye gazing does is it moves beyond the word, because the English language has been created within a specific sort of intention. I don't really know all of that sort of, I haven't done too much research around that, but language in general, you know, the placement of the tongue, the sound, everything is frequency, you know, it ripples out into our world. And there are positive effects and there are adverse effects of these things. And when we all have different perceptual filters and views of see the world, let's say I'm a hippie and I like, you know, working on, and I say that with love. I'm just really loose with my words. I am a hippie personally, but I'm a grounded hippie. Let's say I like to connect with my garden and, you know, plant seeds and just really get into the soil. And that's, you know, regeneration is really important to me. And sitting in circle with people and holding space is important to me. But for my parents, let's say their number one value is money and success through money and monetary forms. So the way they're going to see me is like, this guy is freaking so ungrounded. Like, why is he just focused on lettuce and cabbage and running workshops for people that are, you know, what are they even doing? Holding eye contact. Like, this guy's strange. There's nothing wrong with the way they're seeing the world. There's nothing wrong with the way I'm seeing the world. Just our level of awareness is different. We're in a different terrain of consciousness almost, but we're just perceiving the world differently. And in order to kind of come into a commonality, I'm getting to the point here, guys, bear with me. In order to come to this point of commonality, a lot of the time, one way to be able to come into deep understanding is to be able to close your mouth and look into that person's eyes. And to hold eye contact with that beautiful human, whether it's your family, friend, your enemy, whoever it is, your teacher. Whoever triggers you the most, that's your teacher. And being able to just sit there unconditionally and observe the sensations that are arising, harder than said, but being able to do your best to do that. Or just with a stranger, for example, which is a lot easier. Sitting in silence and allowing yourself to be seen. And all of a sudden, you don't need words. Everything is understood. It's understood so quickly, and it just comes down to one word: love. Nothing else. Love is what makes the world go around. I have a friend, he's an astrophysicist, okay? He wanted to understand how the world went around. He's like, I became an astrophysicist. That didn't explain how the world went round. I then wanted to understand money. So I began to work at the World Bank in innovation, creating new systems. Money was a how the world went around, even though that's how they lead us to believe it to be. And then he said, I started solving complex social problems. And I realized that what makes the world go around is relational currency. It's our relationships. It's us. It's our presence. And being able to fully see each other and understand each other. Because if we're not able to fully commune and connect and engage, what do we have? And what he realized in that experience is that, as I said before, the answer has been looking into our eyes all the time. And it's always been there for us.
Mm. Thank you. Wow. So there are multiple facets to what you just shared. Once again, it's very dense. What I'd love to go more into now is actually what you said about embracing differences, partly. And also, on a side note, you will be joining us in a panel tomorrow as well that will exactly address the element of culture and cultural differences and how that affects relating. So if you want to hear Igor again, tomorrow is the time for that. I'll post the link later. But also the cultural difference and why it's so important then to transcend maybe the verbal or these layers between being a hippie and the corporate world, for instance. And maybe you can share a little bit how you manage to translate what you do, which could be perceived as quite hippie, eye-gazing, what do you mean, into that context and what the challenges are with that.
I love this question. So this has been the biggest challenge of my life, is being able to ground love, this ethereal concept, this embodiment, this unity, this feeling that we all feel, but in a way that other people can share it and experience its benefits within the corporate field. Because 71% of Australians are disengaged within the workplace. That's a very high amount of people. I know globally this engagement is quite high, especially right now with the coronavirus. And can you imagine trying to pitch this type of work to like a white collar sort of human? Hey, everyone in your staff, like but we suggest that they look into each other's eyes. They look at you and go, "Get the F out of here. Get the F out of here." They turn into these Italian mobsters. No, they don't. But so I've had to go through the biggest initiation process within myself to be able to understand how to not to legitimize, because it is legitimate. I've gone into all the science. I've got all the science, but I had to understand, okay, Igor, you're in the world of communication. How are you going to communicate to these people the benefits in a language that they're going to understand? And that has been the biggest sort of and I'm still going through that process. We've started to work with corporates, but it's still an ongoing sort of thing, and being able to use language that they understand, right? So that they can understand what the return on investment is based on their worldview of how they see the world, right? Their perceptual filter. So I jump into their reality. I start living in that reality, and I understand that reality. And then I begin to appreciate how they communicate in their world. And then I bridge my world from which I see the world. Sounds so tedious, but but then I'm learning how to synchronize those two worlds to bring them together within this industry, so that they go, okay, I feel safe. This isn't hippie BS. This is going to have ROI impact on each individual employee, so that they become more proactive, more engaged, happier, healthier. And, when that happens, people can innovate. And we need innovation right now because everything's shifting, the systems are collapsing. So it has been such a big process for me. I'm not going to lie, but it's been very rewarding, very, very rewarding.
Thank you so much. To throw in a much larger scale sort of question, what do you hope to achieve with the human connection movement long term?
Good question. And I want to fit in that this last exercise before we all leave. So can we keep that in mind? Um, I like this question, and the words come up: a more connected world, a world where people feel safe to be able to approach each other, to be able to approach each other and not necessarily say anything for a few seconds and witness each other first, and then say, hi. Oh my God, the intelligence of love within those moments, the space between, that's what makes life worth living. That can be your little holiday every day within the person that you connect with. I've got a friend of mine, Peter Williams. I always refer to him as his first name and his last name because that's just my sense of humor. And it's somehow across all of our friends, we call him Peter Williams. And he would laugh that I'm even referencing him now because I reference him everywhere. He's just a very good friend of mine. And I was in a vortex with him at the beach. We just connected, and I was just feeling a bit uncomfortable last week. I don't know, we were all going through our stuff. And I was like, man, I felt like I just went on holiday with you. Like, you just completely took me out of my head, and we entered this like beautiful space, this like little heaven that we'd created just through our presence and awareness. And now I've just come back and I'm driving my car and I feel reinvigorated and I feel re-energized. So that's one way to sort of answer the question. And I think, I know that it's going to occur. People are realizing and waking up very quickly that it is our divine birthright to realize that we're all interconnected, and that everything is happening for us, not against us.
Thank you, Igor. Great. Let's all work making that kind of a reality. Let's all contribute. Actually, before you share in practice what it is you do, there are a couple of questions that came in that would really help possibly to drop into that exercise as well. So I have one question. Maybe you can integrate that in your guidance or give a little bit of insight before you guide us about what to do when fear comes up. So a lot of you already talked about it, a lot of sensations, a lot of things are happening in these moments of eye gazing. What to do when fear comes up.
Love it. Love it. Accept it. Don't have shame around fear. Fear is natural. I have fear every day, in increments, small amounts of it coming through a thought, very, very kind of subtle, like, and you're like, oh, what's happening here? To be completely honest, we're all sharing this unified space and everything's traveling through, and there's nothing special about one person experiencing more of that or less. It's just a choice. Are you choosing to align with fear continuously, or are you choosing to observe it and love it free? We're in this process of loving ourselves free. So there shouldn't be any dogma around fear. It's a messenger. It's here to guide us. It's here to sometimes protect us, And when you feel fear in a situation, just freaking observe it. Put your hand on your heart and just hold yourself. Just hold yourself. And let it go. That does not belong to you.
Thank you. There were two more questions that were a little more practical, and maybe we can even share this on Facebook or somewhere here in the chat later. It's about resources on either how to practice and cultivate the ability to be present yourself, but also maybe if you have resources on how to communicate that and the science behind it, to make it more accessible to people who don't believe in woo-woo approaches.
Yeah, well, in terms of like eye gazing specifically, I want to be able to give you some sort of pointers around how to incorporate this into your life, whether it will be with your partner or your friends or your family or whoever, even someone at the train station. It's all about the frequency and feeling that you have in your body. So people won't shy away and turn away from you. They're less likely to if you're coming from a genuine and authentic place, if you feel still and congruent within your body. If you're creepy and you're like, oh, that person's really attractive, and they're going to feel that, you know. But if you come from a place of, yeah, that person's attractive, but I congruently would like to hold a couple of extra seconds, or I find that person interesting, I'd like to congruently acknowledge this person, and that congruence is within your body, then it will be received by that person, because there's no such thing as empty space. So in order to give you specific instructions, let's say you want to try this with someone, let go of any expectations. Absolutely. Find a comfortable place to sit, first of all. Somewhere silent. Let go of any expectations. Be present. Allow whatever comes up through your senses to move through you. See like an invisible circuit of energy sort of moving up through your spine, through your crown, then all the way down through your base, up your spine, right? Kind of visualize it or feel it if you can't see it. Some people can feel it, some people can visualize it. And then when you're connecting with that other person, begin to see that invisible circuit of energy move through both of your bodies, right? Because then you begin to align together. So now to simplify this again, if you want to listen to this recording later, let go of any expectations, be present, allow whatever comes up to move through you. Find an eye to connect to. Could be their left eye, could be their right eye. Don't blink. If you blink, it's natural, but you're kind of disconnecting the connection. There's natural blinks, but don't be like, you know, unless that's something that obviously happens automatically, right? Whatever. I don't want to discriminate. I don't want that to come across the wrong way. I just mean that sometimes we shy away from eye contact and we're like, so keep your eyes open, you know, keep your eyes open and breathe, because you're going to start feeling a whole bunch of stuff and the fear might come up. Observe the fear objectively. And I'll tell you what happens when you observe fear objectively. Let's say this is the solid form of fear that's come up in your stomach. And through our observation, it begins to disintegrate, right? So little particles, the density and the mass of it begins to dissolve. And then it disappears. And all of a sudden, there's space. There's softness. There's harmony. There's intelligence. There's wisdom. There's synchrony. There's love. Now keep observing, because you'll feel love and then you'll feel shit again, maybe. And then you'll see a past life experience, maybe, or whatever, you know. Keep observing everything objectively. Don't get caught up in the illusion. Just observe objectively. Stay connected. And you can go for as long or as little as you like. And I'm going to show you an exercise at the end that you start with to ensure that you create a safe space, that you trust the person, so that even before you begin eye gazing, you already trust that person. And when you trust that person, the connection's just going to synchronize and you're going to experience a lot of healing and benefit from it.
Great. How about we do that now? How long do you want to do this for? Because we have a couple of announcements to finish off with. So how long?
I'll work with you. How much time do you need? We've got 10 minutes. So how much time do you need?
I just need 3 minutes at the end to announce a few things.
Let's do 7 minutes then. Okay. So everyone just, wherever you are, get comfortable, more comfortable, maybe, you know, find a comfortable seat. If you're holding your phone, maybe put your phone on something that you don't need to be, you know, holding it on, you know, just, sorry, I'm not making sense, but you know what I'm talking about, because you can feel what I'm saying, and that's what I teach. Feel, don't necessarily listen. Listen with your feeling. And just let go. Let go. We're in a safe space, and I want everyone to kind of visualize that we're inside this translucent cylinder, that we're all protected within this cylinder, and it's about 12 meters in height, closing your eyes, and 5 meters in width. And we're all contained in this beautiful cylinder, safe and protected. And this is the initiation for us to come home to ourselves fully, to love ourselves, to realize that everything is happening for us, not against us, to get out of our own way and to realize that all you, not you need, but all you are is love. You are love. I am love. So breathing into your heart space, synchronizing our breath, tuning into everyone in this group, breathing in together, one heartbeat, expanding your diaphragm, holding and letting go. One more breath, guys. Breathing into your heart space, holding and letting go as one. And breathing in one more time together. Holding and releasing. And now beginning to notice and feel the sensations within your body. Whether you feel excitement or nervousness, just being the observer. The intelligence of observing objectively is a great tool to incorporate into your everyday life. And when you're ready, opening your eyes and raising both of your hands to the top of the camera. Okay, so like you can still see your hands, but they're at the very kind of top. I'm so close, so you'll be kind of getting this for a while. Okay, so even if we can't see you right now and you're participating, this is for you as well. Everyone is participating. So I'm just going to wait for the rest of you to, okay, good. See, I can feel that you've put your hands up. This is what happens when you can feel people you can't see. I make myself laugh sometimes. I'm like, Igor, you sound crazy. But I'm not, I promise. So this is a beautiful trust-based exercise, okay? I want everyone to connect to each other and use your heart as the medium in which it perceives the intelligence around you within this quantum universe, okay? Our whole body is an organ of vision. The way that we've begun doing our eye-gazing workshops online and working with corporations and anyone, not just them, is that fact that energy travels. It doesn't just stop. It's non-local, okay? This is my favorite language too, Natalia. Okay. So now I would like for you to synchronize with everyone, even if you can't see them at the moment, okay? Feeling in your hands and your bodies, their intention, their love. Everyone on this call, unifying, coming together. Okay, and now the next step is to slowly drop your hands only when you feel you trust the group. But we can only drop our hands together as one, as though we were one spirit inhabiting 57 participants. Ready? And allow the natural gravity of your body, not your mind, to guide you. So I'm conscious of time, so we have 3 minutes to do this. So if it takes us 3 minutes to get down, then it takes us 3 minutes. But don't move your hands unless you feel everyone. My hands are staying here because I feel like I'm just moving with everyone's intent. Feel each other. This is how you know we're all interconnected. You're never alone. You are loved. It's a beautiful portal of love opening through us, guiding us home. We just need to attune to this frequency every day to remind ourselves we're not alone. Okay, guys, we've got 3 minutes left, so I'm going to have to pass this over now to Christina. I know no one wants to leave when you feel this, right? You want to bottle this up and keep it forever. Good news is there's an abundance of it. Love is abundant. You're abundant. Everyone here is abundant. Everyone here is perfect as they are. There's nothing you need to fix or change. And if you only realized how beautiful you were and how divinely orchestrated all of our lives are, you would laugh. Have fun. Life is meant to be enjoyed. Be human. Make mistakes. Be silly. And enjoy the show.
Maybe the invitation could be go and practice that with someone, or continue doing this, integrate that into your life, whether through this digital medium or in real life.
And you can find me at thehumanconnectionmovement.org.au or on Instagram at I am Igor Kreyman, or at the HC Movement, if you'd like to contact. Sorry, Christina, I just wanted to get that out before we finished.
Great. I've just posted your website link to thehumanconnectionmovement.org.au as well. Like I mentioned, there's a panel coming up tomorrow that Igor will be part of, talking about culture, religion, and relationships. And we touched on that today a little bit. If you feel like you want to connect with other human beings on this conference and have verbal exchange or conversations, or maybe you want to even do this exercise with people, we do have coffee breakout rooms. I mean, you're having a virtual coffee, but basically what this is it's a link, and you can find that on your portal under my conference, or this is the link I'm going to post into the chat here now as well in the Zoom call. So you can dial in there at any point in time between sessions and connect, exchange, integrate with other people on this talk, on this entire conference. The other thing is that if you have only had the chance to listen to half of this or follow half of this, or you also notice there's so many other fabulous speakers coming up that you can't possibly fit into your time schedule, there is a chance to upgrade and buy packages of these recordings. This is not for us to push and want to make money, but it's also how we make this entire thing possible. So especially for those who do not have the financial means, we wanted to make it affordable and possible to join nevertheless. And by you purchasing, you're supporting this entire conference. So if you do have the means, maybe you want to consider that as well and have lifetime access plus a few bonus gifts that we put on top. And there's a link to that as well, I'll share here. To wrap up, before leaving this call, I actually want to give the word back to you, Igor, for just the top tip of how to stay embodied.
Breathe, just breathe, because a lot of the problem is our lack of breath. We're in this sort of fight or flight state. And when you feel just fuzzy or a bit messy, just lie down and just practice breathing. And you'll come home to yourself quite quickly that way.
Great. So your top tip is breathe.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And it was really an honor and a pleasure to be here with you and ask you all these questions. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow as well. And the next session coming up right now on this channel is going to be by Megan Lambert and James Mattingly on sex and intimacy and open conversation. So we're moving back into somewhat of a verbal realm, but this is starting in 1 hour. In the meantime, enjoy the coffee break or a break, stretch, do whatever you need. And thank you so much again, Igor.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for listening to me. And I wish all of you an incredible day. And this festival is amazing and it feels great. And I look forward to tomorrow and anything else that comes from it. Much love.